everybody. Welcome to another episode of the CB Baker Show. This is your host, CB Baker. Another episode of today was just me doing a solo thing. I really wanted to do an episode on going with your gut. A lot of times you hear about people just saying, hey, I just had this gut feeling. So, it's like I had a gut feeling, so that's the way I went. And so I always tell people, I say, you know what, all else fails, go with your gut. It's like you have that feeling that what can work out and what can't. But let's go through the extremes on this go with your gut, which can actually hinder you. So there's two types of people, right? There's one type that literally will just fly by the seat of their pants. Always on the go, not organized, just flying by the seat of the pants, just unorganized and always going with the gut on every decision that they make. And we all see these people, and for whatever reason, they don't seem to see their fault in what they do. But a lot of times we talk about those people like that and say, hey, God bless them, they'll be all right. So we see this, right? And we see them crash and burn. But every once in a blue moon, we'll see a person that's like this that literally will just keep trying everything and then accidentally hit a home run on something and become successful. And you'd be like, oh, wow, God showed them favor. We always say God showed them favor when we see something like that happens. Now let's go to the other side of the spectrum. The other side is the person who overanalyzes every single thing. You go to them and they'll come to you with something that they're working on. I'm working on this, I'm working on that. And then a year later, you ask them, hey, how's everything going with that? Man, I'm still working out the kinks in it, blase. And you're like, okay. 2 years later, you ask about it. They're in the same boat because they're analyzing everything. These people just won't move. And their procrastination is they're using procrastination as an excuse of we're analyzing stuff. I need to make sure it's right. And it's one of those things where people say, well, perfection is the enemy of good, right? Or good enough. And it's like, but I'm like, at this point, you wait that long, you're not trying to get it perfect. You're scared. You're just flat out just scared and you don't want to face the reality, right? Because let's get real. The people that do things like that are scared of failing and falling flat on their face. So they don't want to have that stigma on them that they've tried something that they really wanted to try and it did not work. So they overanalyze everything and never get out the box, never get out the gate, right? The same can be said about the person who flies by the seat of the pants, that they're also scared. Let me explain. The person that's flying by the seat of the pants is scared to look at and face the reality of the decisions that they're making. So they always will do what they're doing. So when something is being brought up or being called to the carpet or pulled to the carpet and say, hey, what's going on with this? Why are you acting this way? Why did you make these decisions? And they always fall back on this one thing. Well, I didn't know. They plead ignorance. And okay, look, it's 2019, about to be 2020. And the internet's been out since what? 1994. And information has been out there on certain things. And especially nowadays, there's information out there on everything. When I'm coaching people, I always hit them with this one this thing I always tell them. But it's like, CB, I just don't know how to do it. And I say, well, okay, let me tell you a secret. And I get real close up to them. I say, let me tell you a secret. You go on the internet and I want you to type this in the search bar. Google.com. And in Google, they're going to have this thing where you type in the search bar what your problem is, and then you hit submit. And the information shows up for you on how to do something. And here's the real kicker. Most of it is free. And, of course, the people look at me and start laughing. So, well, CB, you make things sound so simple. I said, because it is. We overcomplicate things. But that is what the person who flies by the seat of the pants is wanting things to be complicated so they can have that excuse for them not succeeding. So the person on the left side, which is flying by the seat of the pants, versus the person that is always analyzing or overanalyzing everything, have the same problem. They don't want to fail or don't want to own up to the facts of what happens if they fail. Now, what I want you to do is I want you, where most of us fall at, is fall towards the middle of both extremes. And the reason why you want to be it, like if you can find your sweet spot right in the middle, you'll be successful at everything you do. Because you'll be able to look at the information, analyze it, and then when you got enough information, you'll be able to make a decision. See, one thing about the person that flies by the seat of the pants, they'll make a decision to jump overboard into something. You're like, oh, what the hell? Boom, they'll jump over. And not even look to see, they'll jump off the diving board before they look in the pool to see if there's water in the pool. Okay? So they don't have a problem making a decision. You need that part when you get all the information, boom, pounce on it and go full steam ahead, right? One of the guys I love watching, Ed Milet, he gave a scenario of when you're going to get in the pool or going to get in the ocean, and sometimes the water just isn't warm. You ask the person that's out there swimming in it, like, how the water feel? Oh, it feels great. But then you start walking into the water and that water starts hitting your feet and it's freezing cold. You're like, what in the world? Like, and then you ask yourself, man, this water's cold. They'll say, oh, once you get in, you'll feel better. I'm like, man, this is freezing. And you walk out a little bit more. And then now you walk out to like your knees, trying to get adjusted. Oh, you're shivering, right? You're shivering. And then you go out waist deep. Man, I can't do this. You be like, I can't do this. And then sometimes you'll turn around and go back and sit in your chair and say, look, the water's just too cold. I'll just take in the scenery. And mind you now, you go sit down. You're looking out at the water. And the guy is out there swimming, having the time of his life. And now you got a view of this wonderful view of the ocean. Nice beach and everything. But are you really enjoying it? You looking at it, but you're not enjoying it because when you stepped out there, it was too cold. Now, if you had, one thing I will say, having two kids has taught me a lot of things. So same scenario, my two kids come up, say, Daddy, we're going in the ocean. I'm like, it's too cold. You know what they do? Not knowing any better, they take the shirt off. My son takes the shirt off and my daughter gets her clothes off and she's in a bathing suit, runs out into the water and does not stop. Head first into the water. And they're screaming happy. And in a little bit of time, their body has adjusted to the temperature of the water. Now they're out there with the guy that was saying the water was great, leaning back and floating in the water, and I'm still at the shore. So what does that tell you? I tell you what it told me. It told me that in life, there's going to come times where I'm going to see people doing something and they love doing it and they're having a great time doing it. But I could be there at the venue, looking at them having fun, swimming in the water. But when I go out there, I feel like it's too cold. I just need to go ahead and jump head first in the water, boom, and get my body acclimated to things. Okay. And then go from there. Now, that's the part of the person that is the flying by the seat of the pants that you need to have. That portion of them, you need to take that. That's why I said you got to be in that sweet spot in the middle. Because if you're in the middle, you can look at the stuff, you say, look, the water's kind of, you tip your toe in there. All right, the water's kind of cold, but I know what I need to do because I'm looking out at the guy. He's having a good time. Other people are having a great time. All right, let me go in here, jump head first. You're making your decision. You analyze it, boom, make a decision, get in the water, start swimming with everybody else. That's what going with your gut truly means. You've looked at the information, you've got enough, and you're on the fence about it. And you're like, I got to do something. What am I going to do? Everybody asks themselves this question. What am I going to do? And then sometimes, like especially if you're in that little sales loop, if you're at a car dealership or you're buying appliances, you say, well, let me sleep on it. Right. And let's say you happen to be with some people that's not trained by Grant Cardone and they actually let you leave the place and you're like, okay, you go home, you sleep on it. And when you wake up the next day, do you have it or is it even any more clear than what it was before? No. If anything, it's going to be more cloudy because now you've had other stuff come in your brain and then you let your ego take over and tell you all these negative scenarios that could happen, right? And the crazy thing about your ego, it's going to come up with the craziest scenarios of all time. Like for instance, every time I get on the airplane, I literally think about that movie, Final Destination, when those guys got on the airplane and the plane crashed. It's either Final Destination or it's the TV show Lost. Every time I get on the airplane. And God forbid, don't let me be on the airplane and they got to do a maintenance check on something. And then we sit on the tarmac for like 45 minutes. Now I'm really ready to get off, but I'm like, that's fear. That's my ego. Stay on the plane. And then we'll be able, we're going to take off safely and land safely. Now, when I'm traveling with my wife, she's probably going to hear this podcast, but I never mention this to her while I'm on the plane. I just sit in my own misery of fear, which I know isn't real. So you can really say at that moment that I'm going with my gut. My gut is different than what my head is telling me. So I know the difference, right? Okay. How many times have y'all watched a magic trick happen? The guy makes something disappear. Your brain says it's gone. You don't see it anymore, but you know in your gut, it's a magic trick. That's your gut feeling. Stick with your gut feeling, when it matters. So if you ever say the words to yourself, well, hey, let me sleep on it. You ain't got to sleep on it. You already know what decision that you want to make. You know what the best decision is already. All you're going to do is make things cloudy. It goes back to when your 5th or 6th grade teacher told you way back in the day that normally your first answer on the test, on a question, is the correct answer. The same goes in life. If you second guess your choice, you're just going to make it cloudy. Then you don't know which one to choose. And then you can even stop listening to what your gut is telling you. Now you're listening to your head and trying to apply logic to things. And I hate to say this, but logic cannot apply to everything. Some things are just the way they are and they defy logic. Okay. And that's coming from a person that's a personality test of INFJ. So hey. All right. So, hey, if you've, looking at this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell so you get notified of everything. If you're listening to me on the podcast in your car listening, hey, hit the subscribe button so you get notified when I come up. when I make a new upload and upload a new episode. I'm trying to do at least 2 a week, and I'm going to have guests on here. It's going to be really good. Thank y'all so much for your support. And remember, go with your gut and make a decision. This is your host, CB Baker. Till next time.